I hope not. I feel bad.
You didn't call me.
From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Well, here we are. City Controller Kat Skwatowski with my good friend, haven't seen him for a while, DJ.
DJ Barker, CatTV.
The phones are ringing off the hook. They want to know where you were.
I don't know.
But you have a fan club out there.
I guess so. I met one of them at Roar on the Shore.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I heard
Yes.
some good things about that.
Yeah, yeah.
And today we have with us Bob Lechner from CatTV. And as usual, you can call about anything you want. But today, if you'd like, there were a lot of questions we had the last couple of weeks on CatTV and some of the questions and how they run their operation. So now's the time. We have the, what should we say, the big dog on?
The big dog. This is my boss. I have to watch what I say.
That's never stopped you. But so if you have any questions, now's the time. And we, like I said, usual rules apply. Any issue, just keep it clean, keep it above, keep it at a good, nice level, and don't take any personal attacks, and we're okay.
I was watching the replay from last week, Kaz, and somebody mentioned, what does CAT do with their money? Have no idea. So I brought along our last audit.
Oh, thank you.
Here's.
You want to leave it here in case we have a
No,
question?
you could have it. I'm pretty familiar with it. And our budget. Let you have a look at that, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to come back and answer them as to how we have handled the funds for Community Access TV over the years, our 15th year now.
Yeah, there was a big discussion, like they thought you had a massive, some people thought you had a massive staff. And I said, a lot of what you see there is.
Massive staff of 3.
Yeah, and you probably have some volunteers that.
We do a lot with volunteers. Whenever we have a major event, anything that requires many hands, we do it with volunteers. They aren't compensated other than they're paid. They're fed. I'm sorry.
We give them snacks
we feed
and pop and
them.
stuff
Yeah.
during festivals. That's how we pay them.
That's good. Oop. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, before I get to my questions about CatTV, I have a couple of city concerns I'd like to bring to your attention first.
I knew you wouldn't let me slip, but go ahead.
Well, I just came up from down by St. Vincent's, and I noticed there's a pole on 23rd and Sassafras. Now, this would be on the southeast corner, and it's not tied down, it's just floating. And I went by and I saw it shift about 8 or 9 inches. They're just leaving it hang by the existing wires. So I think public safety ought to go take a peek at that.
Why is that happening?
Because Penelec is too lazy to change it down.
Was it hit, or was it just being...
It was hit. There's a replacement there, and it is not anchored or anything. It's just like a stub next to another pole.
Okay, southeast corner, 23rd and Sass.
No.
I thought you said 23rd and Sass.
East corner, 23rd and South.
Southeast corner, right?
I think the public safety director, or whoever it is on there, should take a look. Maybe they'll send them a citation. Who knows? But we don't want to go there now. We want to go to CATV. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first thing I'd like to ask, have you ever been audited, or have you sent an audit in to the city?
Well, first of all, there's a representative of the city on our board.
Here.
And our board has access to all of our financial information.
Has that been done regular or just now?
Every year. We've been audited every year. Happy to, if you want to come down to CATV, be happy
No,
to show
I
you
believe the
to
gentleman on your immediate left there.
You can come down to my office, any citizen. I now have a copy, Ruth Spittenhouse and Smiley,
And
certified accountants.
we were audited every year. I've been there a year. We've been audited every year of our existence for the past 15 years.
As for whether they ever gave the city one, John, I don't think they were ever required.
Oh, well, I talked to a few council people, and they're under the under the thought that you've never audited and they don't know where the money has been going.
Yeah, no, we're audited every year.
Have you ever submitted a copy to the city council?
I can't say that we have. I believe we have, but
This is probably what I heard out there. And,
Well, to be fair to them, John, we only require certain authorities to do that. Now, they may never have been told they had to.
I do understand that, but now
Yeah.
that the city's going to control the money and CatTV is going to have to go and request funding.
Anytime we give money, all anybody had to ever do, wherever there's city funds involved, is you merely, even if it's not required, we could always ask for it, you know.
Sure, and there's a council liaison, that's currently Jessica Haran-Kunso. It's been a different council members over the years, but certainly that individual can go to any one of our board meetings, anyone from any walk of life.
Well, I know you do an excellent job,
Can
and
go to our board meeting.
how many people draw a salary from this funded money?
3.
3 people. And I'm sure they're reasonable enough for the amount of time that you've put in.
It's public knowledge. My wages would be 48 plus benefits. My 2 employees' base salaries are in the lower 30s plus benefits.
Below
They had you pencil in it.
standard.
It's a heck of a lot less than
6 years.
there are people painting curbs in the Parks Department that make what I make. I'm not complaining about what I make.
There's people working in City Hall that don't even get that, and they have a larger responsibility.
Sure, absolutely.
And then there are some in City Hall getting too much that they don't even deserve and have enormous staffs,
Correct.
like up on the 5th floor. But that's another question.
Yep.
So other than that, you're doing a good job, and I will talk to my council people. They're all my council people. There's no specific liaison to any department. They're all mine. Whether they like it or not, they're all mine, and I will relay that I am for you. In fact, I think you should get a raise. Ask for more money.
I appreciate your support. I've actually foregone a raise personally this year because of the uncertainty about our current
I
budget
think you need a
situation.
raise for yourself and everything else, and you need a raise of funding that they're giving you. The mayor is taking all his money and putting it in the streets that are loaded with potholes. They have city properties that aren't cut properly. They have an enormous complaint department, and they do not cite. They just write letters, and he's not doing his job. And you know, if there was someone running against him, he would not get my vote. They would get my vote. But I'll hang up here now and listen. And I am a watchdog. I'm watching everything. Did you cover the Save an Eye football game?
We did not. I mean, with our limited staff, we have to cover those events.
But you might be able to borrow the tape and then show it once in a while on your show. I'm sure the people would really appreciate that.
Yeah, there are a lot of options for airing community programming if it's been recorded by someone.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
I was going to tell John why he was, yep, there it is. You did forego a little salary bump downwards. No question. You.
Correct.
Yep. And John also, as he's listening, he got a favorable report on the auditor. Yeah, I think that you know, there was a story that you made 60 or 70, and I said, well, even if that was true, that's really not a lot of money compared to what some of the authority members make around town.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I think, like John brought up, and I brought up a DJ one time, there's a lot of things I'd like to see on there, but a lot of things you're prevented from carrying. And
Correct. It's supposed to be community-oriented programming. When people join, they can learn how to produce programming, but if they've already got programming that they'd like to show, they can become an associate member for a very small fee, $35, and bring in programming on DVD, and we will air it. So, you know, there are a lot of different options for doing things. Sometimes if there's an event that we aren't able to cover, we can get a volunteer to cover it.
I think
If there's enough interest.
a lot of people forget that for every undesirable show that, you know, people would mention, There's a lot of, I notice when I do my radio show on Sunday, there's a segment, I don't do it, but there's a local church that takes time on Gannon. If that's not on when it's supposed to be, you know, there are a lot of people that are shut-ins out there.
We have a lot of shut-ins watching. It's niche programming. That's the trouble for us to gain support, is that...
Well, it's a lot like some of your cable channels.
Exactly.
I don't watch it, but somebody's watching it.
Right. And if it's on your cable service, you're paying for it in somewhere or form. If it's on broadcast TV, you're paying for it incrementally whenever you buy a product that's advertised on that channel. So one way or another in this country, when you're watching a television station, it's subsidized in some fashion through advertising or through franchise fees or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, you hear people complain about cable, and I said, well, some of the channels that you don't like are paying to be on there, and the other ones that you do like, maybe, the cable has to buy them.
Right.
There's but here was a good question. They always talk about fundraising. And everybody think, I know being on some of the committees I'm on, trying to get money now is pretty rough.
It's very tough for nonprofits.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough when you got a visible project, but...
And there are a ton of nonprofits in this area. I mean, there are some towns where that isn't the case, but there are quite a few active nonprofits. Many of them overlap. And the corporate givers that had been here have
dried up.
Been generous over the years, but a lot of that has dried up.
I know when we have to get like underwriters on my show, it's not easy because you can't offer them the same kind of advertising that they get on a commercial channel.
Very general. Right. Just a mention of the name, we allow a logo, a website list if they have one, and briefly before a program. But again, with our niche audience, we don't have numbers to show. We don't show up in the ratings books the way Jet does, or WICU, or WSCE, or even the PBS station WQLN. We don't get ratings numbers. So I can't prove to anyone that any number of pairs of eyes is watching any one of our programs at any particular time. We do have a web stream on our website, catverie.org, and we do get a count of the number of people that log on to view that. We did get quite a few viewers for the Perry 200 parade coverage and some of the Perry 200 stuff we've done from all over the country and even all over the world, for that matter.
Well, I think a lot of the problem is it's hard to get your message out there. Like, you can't like put a channel guide in the paper easily sometimes.
We do send notices to Dave Richards, but it's where it can be fit in, and if he feels it's of community interest to go in the paper. We are listed in the channel guide for Time Warner. That took some doing, and I have to hand it to Time Warner because there's some companies that don't do that. Comcast is one. I'm told that it's tough to get them to do that, and they're a huge company. Yeah, quite a large communications company, and so it's good that we're listed on the cable guide, the electronic cable guide that they.
If you have a box, you can actually look us up on Channel 2 and see all the programs that
Yeah, I do, and but it's a lot of times like when you look at a show, you said, what is the Amazing Grace? You don't know.
Right. Right.
Sure. But you can go to our website at catvarea.org, click on the schedule tab at the top, and look up a keyword. So you could look up the word amazing, and it would show you all instances of that, or Perry, and just as a quick way, like using Google, to find those program listings which would match that, and fairly easy to find what you want there. Or you could look up parade if you wanted to, or pageant if you wanted to find the Perry parade or pageant.
I was amazed the number of establishments that had the parade on,
Right. You mentioned that all the way up the street, bars and businesses had us on watching the parade.
And, that kind of coverage and some of the other things that we do is part of the reason it was set up in the original franchise. that way, where we receive part of the franchise fee. It was also something that guaranteed us a certain amount of income so that we didn't have to be concerned with fundraising. We could just have a small staff and concentrate on doing what our mission is to provide public access and promote the city of Erie and educate people on how to use the television studio and the field cameras. Without that guaranteed stream of revenue, then a lot of our time is going to be devoted to fundraising. And also we have to be extremely concerned perhaps that somebody may say something that the city doesn't like and might choose to constrain our funds. So that puts us in an odd spot.
Yeah, I think the big thing with CatTV is trying to get more of the community interested in it, to actually try it out. And you might be surprised what kind of shows come out of that someday,
Yeah.
We've been pleased that last year, I believe we had 4 months where we held classes. This year, though, there will be 9. Some months we don't because of Christmas holidays. There isn't a lot of interest. People tend not to sign up, plus the festival season. During August, we don't run classes. We're busy with covering blues and jazz and doing Celebrate Erie and so on. So we don't have as much interest in the classes.
There we go. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I don't have cable, so the only time I get to watch Taxpayer's Hotline or CatTV is like when I'm visiting my parents. But I was wondering, is there any other way of watching these two shows?
Well, ours is on the city website.
Okay.
It's on. It won't be. I don't think it's live though.
It's not live, but they're all uploaded fairly quickly
Yeah.
to the YouTube.
It'd be nice if we could stream our TV broadcast. But that's one way you can do is to watch us on. Go to the city website, cityoferie.gov, and it'll be on there, the meetings. Now Bob can probably, and DJ can address their station.
Sure. Well, ours is at catverie.org. If you go to our website, you'll see a small TV window at the lower left corner of the screen. And there's an occasional advertisement in there, but other than that, we're live there 24/7. You can watch us any place that you have internet access, smartphone or regular PC, tablet, PC, whatever you want.
Okay, that's good to know. Another question. Sometimes when I'm over here at my parents' and I put on the CatTV, it shows like traffic on 12th Street. Is that a live shot or a recording?
There's a live shot. We have a camera pointed each direction, and it flips back and forth every 15 seconds, I think it is.
Yeah, it flips back and forth between east and west, and it runs for about a half an hour in the morning and a half an hour in the afternoon to show people what traffic's doing on 12th.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Do you like the
welcome.
programming on there when you see it? Oop.
I think he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the traffic cam, partly to let people see what traffic looks like, but also get a look at downtown weather, just kind of like looking out the window. But it's the cameras are mounted on our signs out front on 12th Street, not too far from 12th.
I used to access a couple of cameras on the internet. That was fun watching, but
Yeah.
see, a lot of people, and I profess, I don't understand, the technical parts of streaming and all that, but it's amazing that like some of the radio stations here, that have gone to streaming now, people don't realize that, yeah, you could be on vacation out of town and you don't have to be without, watching CatTV, or it'd be nice if we were able to do that,
You can do it for $7.
Really?
All you need this is how I put us on the air. It's basically an attachment I bought. It's a USB attachment that plugs into the computer, and you feed it video and audio.
Yeah.
And that's how we have our web stream.
See, we have
it
so
can be
much
done for nothing.
so much tape stuff that we don't have
Yeah.
too much live.
Yeah.
Very rare, except for the council meetings, public hearings, but
If you guys have an internet connection, you guys could set this up for almost nothing.
that's probably something we should look into.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different world now that you can do whatever you want to do in here.
Right. Right.
Got your laptop in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I watch our channel on my phone. Anytime I'm on vacation, I'm never on vacation. I'm checking the channel, and if we're not on the air, I dial in and I make sure the server is working, and then I go back to my vacation.
So where do you see CatTV going?
Well, good question. I'm hoping we can keep the support of the city. It's 90+% of our funding up till now. Fundraising is a tough game, as we were talking about before. A lot of it's friend raising at first, and then it's fundraising.
Go ahead, caller. Hello?
Kaz,
Yes.
hey, have you seen that GAF property lately?
I haven't been by there in about a couple weeks. Why?
Yeah, well, I've noticed that pile of stone really depleting, and what a nice view of the bay. How long are we going to have that? Is there anything proposed for that property yet?
You mean when they're going to develop it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a hard and fast plan yet. Probably
well,
right now,
we'll have a good view there for a while.
I think that stone is probably going to be for the remediation.
Yeah, but it looks like that pile is being depleted, and that's a nice view across there right now.
Oh yeah, I think they're still in the. Depending on who you talk to, there's still great debate about. Not in. I think the specifics are kind of cloudy, but in general, I think they have a plan.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there wasn't anything planned yet for it or not. I haven't heard.
No, I've actually heard some private developers are getting ready to get started around there too.
No, that would be great, but I hope they don't obstruct the total view down there, because it really looks good.
Well, I think that was the interesting thing about any plan they had. If you watch the plan that was submitted by the convention center or by David Brennan, they were all like kind of maybe 3-story, 4-story buildings.
Height restrictions.
Yeah, and I've always felt like if you've ever been to San Diego, they got a nice plan.
Yeah.
Along the waterfront, it's very low, and then back on the bluffs is where you have your high-rises. Because it's impractical to think that you're never going to have high-rises down there. But if you could at least keep the part along the Bayfront Drive, if you keep it confined to a small area, I think that'll be okay, because there's plenty of Bayfront if you get away from the downtown area. So it's going to be a big decision on where you allow the blockage, how much you allow. But I think that GF is going to be, hopefully it'll be something that the whole public can use.
Okay, Ken.
What would you like to see there?
Good, thanks. Nice talking with you.
Oh, what would you like to see there, sir?
I really don't have a preference. I just like the view kept as much as possible. I'm not all for the big high rises.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see high-rise. You'll see low, like maybe 3, maybe possibly 4, or something like that. But, I haven't seen the plans yet, but if you're not offended by the convention center, that's probably about what you'll get.
That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaz, thanks.
Thank you.
Something's going on down there now, because
Well, yeah, all the stone?
over the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing like a barge floating out there with heavy equipment on it,
Yeah.
and they're like banging pylons into the water or something.
That might be for, you might be, there is plans to build like docks and stuff along there, so maybe that's
Yeah.
to shore in the property.
Right.
The stone, I think, and I don't know, I'm not in on the design phase, that's probably for the remediation. But whatever they do down there certainly be very,
Tough to come up with a plan, because I think some people are much less likely to go down there when it's bitter cold.
Yeah.
January, February.
but here's my theory, Bob. We drive down there all the time,
Sure.
and to me, if you had a nice restaurant down there or something like, the people who live down there, they get out of their car at Niagara Pier.
Sure.
Go ahead, caller.
Guys, they're building a seawall down there because I believe it's a 12-acre site, but 2 of those acres are underwater.
Ah, okay.
And, to use the whole,
So they're going to reclaim some of it to fill then and everything.
and then that seawall will keep any future erosion from occurring. So that's what the rocks and the pounding and piling that's going on.
Ah, okay. You know, I know when the drawings, they had all kinds, they envisioned like piers and pull-up spots, you know.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to add a little bit of land to it, you're saying, or just stabilize it?
The usable space is, the area that's dry down there is 10 acres.
Ah, okay.
And by putting the seawall up, they'll be able to reclaim that 2 acres that's not under a lot of water, but under enough water that you couldn't use it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it makes sense, you know, and yeah, because I was a little surprised that there was that much unavailable without doing the alterations with the seawall. So
It's going to be an interesting project.
I think so, Cass. You know, Cass, but like anything we do, the benefit to the taxpayer, I'll be anxious to see what kind of a boost it is to the tax coffers for the city.
Well, that's why I agree with the mayor that, you know, it's time that we put some, now maybe in the initial stages we'll have to go tax, you know, give them tax breaks.
Yeah.
But if we put businesses and stuff down there that will draw taxes and jobs in the future, that's what we got to go for. We can't, you know, we got enough parks and nonprofit things. We need something that's going to bring some revenue into the city.
You know, and you know, Cass, for the life of me, I think about what I'd like to see down there. I'll tell you, I don't have anything that in particular that I'd like to see down there, but I know there's one thing I'm absolutely dead set against.
What's that?
Another hotel. Let private developers use their property, which might not be on the gas site, build their own hotel and run their own hotel. Because frankly, as a taxpayer, I resent the fact that I paid to build that Sheraton hotel. And it bothers me. It'll bother me forever because they operate under the pretense that they'll never have to pay taxes. And we did that with bond money from the casino, and we should have never done that. But the reason why we had to do it because there was nobody that would build a hotel down there. And we built it. The taxpayers are on the hook for that hotel. And, you know, it just kind of flies under the radar and everything, but he's happy we got a Sheraton down there. Well, don't be that happy about it. You should get a room down there for free because you pay for it.
Well, that's like the stadiums. We build them, but you don't see us getting well, now they're going to sell.
Of course, there's a room tax, is there not?
Yeah, but
I mean, not that that's maybe
but the city
anywhere
can't.
near
The
equivalent.
city doesn't get that. That's a county.
I see.
But that's
Is
going
that
to
a portion to the city then?
no.
Or not? No.
Yeah, that's where that room tax goes. It goes directly to the convention center and whatever that fellow is down there to promote Erie.
I'd have to get Casey on here, but I think that tax goes to two things. One is to promote Erie. Some of it goes to the chamber, and the other part of it goes to fund the convention center.
You know, Cass,
And that's part of the Sheraton and all that.
You look at the city, and you know there's $35 million at EMTA, $40 million over at the Tullio Center.
Right.
I don't know how many millions we're going to spend on gas. The Water Authority just spent mega bucks to put a filtration system in. It's not that we're not getting money to spend in our community. The money's going to these authorities all the time. And where we sorely need development is we need to get rid of some of the blight we have. We need to help our school district be more successful. But instead, the money keeps going to authorities. I'll tell you, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to bring it up. That Terry Woods, he has a job where he distributes $6 million. He doesn't have to make the $6 million. He doesn't have to worry where it's coming from. He just gets it, and he distributes it. And I think that it's irresponsible to let one young person distribute $6 million. I'd love to have a $90,000 a year job where it was my job to spend $6 million that I don't have to make anything for. They just give it to me. And when I heard him starting to talk about giving money to the Redevelopment Authority so they can perform land banking? The biggest land bank we got in the city of Erie is at 13th and Peach. That land is banked, and the Redevelopment Authority created that empty property. The only thing they accomplished was moving the Visiting Nurses Association off of 13th and Peach after 38 years of being there and sending them to Mill Creek. That's quite an accomplishment for the Redevelopment Authority. And that kind of business just ticks me off, makes the hair on my neck stand up, and I wish people would stand up and voice their opinion about this. Kim Green should not be operating a land bank. No way. Especially if they're going to use gaming money. That's our money. If I had my way, I'd rather give some to CatTV rather than let her spend it on a damn land banking proposal where their taxes that are garnered by that land bank after it's reconstructed will go for 5 years back to the Redevelopment Authority. What a shell game. That almost doesn't sound legal to me. You know, it's tax incremental financing on steroids. It's terrible, Cass. And I hope if the council and the new board when they get put in January, I hope they start to look at some of this stuff and sit back and start working for me. And people like me. We're taxpayers.
Well, you know, when you mentioned about the hotel,
Yeah.
hang tight, because there is a gentleman that owns some land down in the waterfront
Yeah.
that he may be, I think you know him, you know, he's Mr. Scott. He may be doing something down there in a short time.
You know, and that's what Cass. And then okay, so it's a little inconvenient. It's not within a few steps of the doors to the convention center. Mm-hmm. But so what? You know, you can hang on to that property at the gas site and do something else with it that might be good for the whole community instead of the convention center and its authority.
Well, I like private development because
So do I.
I think, you know, you need government a little bit, but there's nothing like private, you know. And I'll say this on the air, you know, people get mad about the tax breaks that Erie Insurance get.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But long range, they have a lot of the buildings that we gave tax breaks to them. Those tax breaks are gone now.
You know,
They haven't moved.
Florida, as it was proposed, encompassing the whole city, failure. We should have gave bigger tax breaks to the inner city and no tax breaks to the perimeter of the city.
Well, you seen what Erie Insurance did? They're building down there.
I admire what Erie Insurance is.
Well, they're providing jobs, and the thing is, they are on the tax rolls. They are hiring people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. They're a wonderful asset to this community. I admire their work. And you know, they're not just knocking buildings down. They're restoring some of those beautiful old houses along East 5th Street and giving them another life, which is nice, you know. And sure, I guess they're tearing down Macaulay Hall to make a green space there. You know, I mean, what a campus they're going to have, you know. And God bless them. And we can thank our lucky stars. And we should do everything we can to enable them to be successful. And we should do that with every business who has established themselves in Erie. We need to become enablers instead of takers.
Well, yeah, like, you know, businesses like Smith's Provision, when they take advantage of tax breaks, you know, they're probably not moving out of the city.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going out of business in the near future.
Yeah. But Jack, I've hung you up for long enough, I guess. But I'll talk to you, and have a great day, and good luck, CatTV. I hope.
Thank you.
I really do hope that you don't have to come begging to council for what you need to operate. And as I watch that whole thing develop, I'm not sure they're the best people to monitor where the money's going. You know, I mean, I'm really not sure. I think there was a better way to do it, and they failed miserably as far as I'm concerned. But just add that to the list of things they failed at, I guess. But thank you.
Thanks for your
And I'll
support.
talk to you
Thanks for
soon.
calling.
Bye-bye.
I am surprised. I'm not surprised, but I like hearing you. There is a lot of support out there. It's a lot like the show. A lot of people may not call in all the time, but when you go around town.
Sure, people are watching.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello, I'd just like to give support to that previous caller. I agree with everything he said. I always enjoy listening to him, whether it be on Taxpayers Hotline or at Citizens to be Heard at City Council meetings. I agree with everything he said. I support what he says. But I'd also like to know, when is CatTV fully funded until? Are they fully funded until the end of the year? Is that when they would have to go up to ask for funding again?
Well, we normally would receive a quarterly check directly from Time Warner. We did receive one for the first quarter. We're not sure if we will receive the second quarter check, the second fourth of our funding for the year, or not, because the franchise was just passed. So I guess it's up to Time Warner if they choose to send us the payment per the old agreement, which really was still in effect all the way through that second quarter of this year, or if they will just go ahead and send it to the city. So that's a question mark. After that, there's no guaranteed funding, but there have been members of council who have expressed support for the idea of continuing funding for us pretty much at the level it had been, because no one knew when the new franchise would take effect and when this would affect CatTV. So in order for us to meet commitments to the community and be able to agree to cover things like Celebrate Erie and the Blues and Jazz Festival and knock out homelessness and the other programming we do for the community, we had to come up with a budget for 2013, not knowing, thinking that maybe we would have a new franchise and a new funding arrangement this year, but we weren't sure when that would occur. So we're hoping that they'll pretty much support us through the end of this year, and we will be presenting later on in August to the Director of Finance our budget proposal. The Mayor and the Director of Finance will incorporate that, hopefully, within their budget proposal to Council, and Council will have to approve what's proposed. Again, we'll be asking for funding for next year, and for the future of CatTV. We don't see any scenario where we can survive entirely without the support of the city. So we'll just have to see how things wash out in working on the budget with them.
So you may not, it's possible that you won't be fully funded through the end of the year.
It's possible. That hasn't been mentioned yet, but it's certainly possible. Fortunately, we knew as early as first part of March that this was a definite thing. We kind of didn't want to believe that the city would do this to us after 15 years, and we feel we've been doing a good job. But when it became apparent that it was going to go down this way, we've been very careful with our money, and we have enough funding to pretty much do what we've been doing well into 2014, at least through the first quarter of 2014, the first few months. So we're hoping with the funding that we ask for that we'll be able to do what we need to do. We'll just have to see how it comes out.
Well, I support you. I hope they do decide to fund you, because I enjoy Amazing Grace, and when the political candidates come up to give their platforms, that's a good thing. And I also enjoyed the Perry 200 Parade and the Blues and Jazz Festival and Celebrate Erie. That's most of your programming I enjoy. It's a good thing, and it's not, I don't think you have it's really a small budget, it seems to me, compared to other organizations. You're not asking too much, I don't think, for funding. It's very reasonable.
It's always been kind of a shoestring, and over the years, we've done a lot with what we were given to work with. We have attempted some fundraising. But it's tough because we were, the original model of most public access providers was that they would be funded through the franchise fee through the city. That's done all over the country that way. In Pittsburgh, they pay a specific fee on their bill, 60 cents per subscriber per month goes to public access. Excuse me. So, it can be a substantial amount of money depending on the arrangement with the city providers and as to what they expect the access organization to do.
In Pittsburgh, they get no help from the city?
It isn't part of the franchise fee, it's a separate line item, but it's on their cable bill. But that was the agreement that Comcast is like 3 times bigger than Time Warner. They're not easy to deal with necessarily, and Pittsburgh managed to come up with that agreement with
See, that wouldn't bother
Comcast.
that wouldn't bother me on my bill.
It's going to 90 cents in a couple of years here. And they get a lot for that. They have 88 locations where they can broadcast live. We've got one here across from the Art Museum where we can do Celebrate Erie, and Time Warner was kind enough to string a special live connection so that we could do the Perry Parade live. But there used to be 40-some locations in the institutional network that have all dwindled to just that one across from the Art Museum. Like I say, there's 88 of them in Pittsburgh.
Didn't you have one like a school district?
There
You had one here at this building, I think?
fire halls, they were all over the place. If the fire department wanted to do a demonstration about artificial resuscitation or something like that for the public, we could take our equipment there, or if they had their own equipment, they could tie into that and broadcast it over Channel 2 or Channel 9. There were a lot of different options under the original franchise, and that's all completely gone away in the new franchise, unfortunately.
Well, I hope you can continue your programming without any programming cuts.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I support your station. Thank you for your explanation.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Bye.
I could live with even a buck on my bill a month,
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of money, 3 cents a day, something like that.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Cat, remember when I called you about those catch basins from 33rd to 38th?
Yeah, I got them marked down in here.
You see where that on 36 was like a tree growing up?
Yep, I turned it in. I'm gonna see what they do about it.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 of them.
Yep, in fact, I got another complaint in that area, so I gotta go by there again and double check on that.
Okay, thanks a lot for your help then.
Okay,
Bye.
real quick, I gotta say, a couple things that they called about last week. There was a question why we paved down the middle of a street and not paved the outside. That's due to the fact that it was determined that only the middle of the road was bad, and with the limited funding that we have, it's kind of like a micro project, not micro servicing, but it's a minimal project where they at least got the road surface done, and in that way they got more road surface done rather than do a whole street where the side where you park on wasn't the issue. And there was a question about vendors walking around with yellow jackets and or panhandlers and all that. I talked to the man in charge. The city does not encourage it, even if it's legitimate nonprofit uses and all that. It's not a good thing to have people walking around in the streets and the right-of-ways. And with the many issues involving uncertainty of who's approaching your car and everything, the city does not encourage that. And they did not take action, but they did inquire as to these people that are walking around with the yellow jackets and advise them that they should come in and talk to our director who handles those type of projects, fundraising and access to city parks and city streets. So it's not that we didn't see that. We did, and we took action. And all people that want to solicit funds, there is a process to do it, and there is a gentleman to see. So Bob, if, let's just say the worst happened and you had to fundraise, okay? Now, would that mean like many of the things you do for free now, some of these projects would have to like ante up then, right?
Yeah, we do help over 45 nonprofits in the area with promotional videos so that they can do their fundraising and hopefully not have to come to the city and ask for funds. So we might have to ask for fees to do that. The city has encouraged us to do that, and
I know that.
we will begin doing that. I mean, it's presumed that if we don't do that, that they'll be more reluctant to fund us. So,
And there's a lot of places that really can't afford that. I mean, even though you know, they're nonprofit, that's what they are. You know, they're fighting themselves.
absolutely, yeah.
I mean-
we try to keep everything as reasonable. You know, even then, we wouldn't charge what a regular television production company would charge.
Or just televising a parade. That in itself, you know, the length, the equipment, all that, you know, that's,
Sure.
even if you know, no matter what people give you as a contribution, nowhere comes near.
Yeah, that was one that, you know, we had not, you know, would not normally be in our schedule but it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, so.
We
it's
did
kind of
mobile.
thing that we feel fits with our mission, and if there's any possible way to do it, we'll do it. And that will always be true with CatTV.
I did mobile broadcasting with, like I said, with my little radio show, and that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, it's time consuming, there's equipment involved.
Sure.
It's harder for us considering there's only one spot we can even go live from.
And see, I didn't know that. I thought, you know, years ago you had probably a lot, like you said.
We did. It used to be called the iNet, and over years, equipment has failed. Something would fail from one spot, so they'd pull a piece of equipment from another location, where they got down to a point where the only piece of equipment left that Time Warner has to hook us up to the live is one cable running from the front of the art museum, down to us. That's the only route that's left.
Now, as technology improves, we may be able to do that in a wireless fashion, but the equipment continues to be a little more expensive than we can afford, and especially now. I mean, it's not something that we have thousands of dollars to sink a bunch of money into.
No, when you read about like,
we need to hold back whatever we can in case we lose, you know, our main server to what keeps us on the air 24/7, or even a roof air conditioning unit or something like that. We have one from dates from 1977, the other one dates from 1984, and people will say, well, gee, we used to survive without air conditioning, but it's the equipment that needs the air conditioning as much as anything, and buildings aren't even constructed nowadays. Ours dates to 1960, and it's not constructed to where we can open windows and run fans and things like that.
I've been in your studio, and I can testify that the studio may be nice and cool, but, you know, you're Spartan everywhere else.
Yeah, we're very careful. We have timed thermostats everywhere. You know, we're always after each other to turn off the lights, and you know, we really try to do what we can to make the dollar stretch as far as we possibly can. It's always been that way. I mean, it's not just anything we've done recently, but even more so now.
So you can, if you're listening out there, you can still call in. Any questions for Bob, DJ on CatTV, or any problem in the city, feel free to call.
I have a couple of problems in the city, Kaz.
What's that now?
The house next door to mine has been abandoned for over a year,
Boy.
and the weeds are almost as high as the house.
We are so far behind the weeds, but if you want to turn it in,
846 East 7th Street.
846 East 7th?
It's an eyesore. People have been breaking into it on a regular basis, just going in and hanging out. A couple of nights ago, somebody was hanging by our kitchen window in their yard against the fence, just hanging out at the house. So we're afraid somebody's going to move in and make a meth lab or just burn it down. And with the distance between the houses, if that thing catches on fire.
Well, don't laugh. I knew somebody that worked for a certain utility, and they were asked to hook up service in a house that had a tag on it.
Wow.
So people, People do move into these houses.
The foundation is crumbling. I mean, I've walked around the house. I tried to do some upkeep on the yard so people wouldn't come around and think that it was abandoned, but I just can't keep up with it.
Yeah, we don't have a huge work crew anymore, but I'll see if they can, they'll have to site it first, and then that takes a while.
That would be a good summer jobs thing. I mean, I know that Curtis Jones has worked to try and implement that, and started that this year with a kind of a mini program.
That's what we're probably going to need. You hate to say the cities that's happening, but with, people leaving the city with unemployment, it's getting to be an issue in some areas, and the people that try to keep their house up.
It's tough. It's a downward spiral, and you don't want to see it because people start not to care, and then it just gets worse and worse.
Luckily, we're not in a bad shape Detroit is, or...
No.
No, my other problem is a gentleman who may or may not be homeless, but he's asked me for money multiple times over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
This is the guy with the story. He's got various stories, his whole repertoire of stories. He's been doing it for a couple of years.
It's usually based on a story about him needing to get to the hospital or needing to get to Meadville, and he's asking for a couple of bucks so he can put gas in his car.
Gerard. He needs
Or
gas,
Gerard,
or he needs
yeah.
bus fare.
Yeah, and he actually approached me last week, and I was walking down 12th Street towards Peach, and he came out of the building next to ours, came walking fast. He's like, "Excuse me, sir," and I knew who he was, so I didn't say anything, and I just kept walking. He got out to the sidewalk, and then he called me a bad word, a bad name that I won't say on the air. He called me a bad name because I wouldn't even talk to him.
That's on 12th Street.
This is right on 12th Street, and he has accosted people in our parking lot before, asking for money. He's actually asked me for money in the parking lot before, and he'll come up on you really fast, too, and then tell you the story, and then you'll say no, and he'll leave. But last week, he called me a bad name.
Behind the Erie Playhouse, too, is another favorite hangout in those...
In that parking lot?
In those parking lots, yeah.
Tall Caucasian gentleman, white beard, white hair.
Backpack?
I don't think he has a backpack. He didn't have a backpack. When I saw him, he didn't have a backpack. So, I mean, that's happened a number of times.
Yeah, I don't know if we still have a beat man on downtown district,
Yeah.
but we'll have to see if anybody can get over there.
Well, he's smart enough to keep moving, so...
Yeah.
That is, it's sad in itself, but there's a lot of professionals out there, too, that are getting the public irritated. I mean, the one guy has a car better than I don't have one that good. And I'm not saying that's, but...
Yeah.
The one guy had a sign up at the mall, he's been trying to get out of Erie for 3 years.
Yeah, some of them have cell phones and so on.
Well, if you could make, they did a story on TV about this, about, if you can make a couple $100 a day tax-free,
Yeah.
it's not bad,
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. 25, 30 a year, something
Yeah.
like that.
So that's all I got. Hey, I wouldn't have had a major problem if he didn't turn around and call me a bad word. I don't know.
You need to, you need to bring somebody out of retirement.
No. No.
Well, I encourage you to look at our budget
you know,
information and all that.
I just looked at it real quick.
Of course, it's got, the 2011, 2012,
It is-
and 2013.
It's a very Spartan budget.
Yeah.
And that gentleman's right, you're underpaid, that's,
I'd like to say that I'm underpaid as well, and anyone who would like can ask for me to get a raise. I'd love one.
Well, we're passionate about what we do. I mean, it's the same way at a lot of nonprofits.
well, it was good that you were up here, because, there was a lot of debate about, how many people work there, and I said, to my knowledge, I only knew of 3.
And we don't spend a lot on promotion. We don't spend a ton of money saying, hey, we're great, here we are, here's how to find us. There could be a lot more spent on promotion, but we don't want to spend the dollars on that. We'd rather spend it on doing things like the Perry Parade and so on.
And to John, anybody else, if you want you feel free to come to my office and look at it, or if you want excerpts, I'll be glad to
Sure, and, you know, we've got, you know, all the
mail them out to you or
all
whatever.
the budgets back to our inception in 1998, so we'd
And in
be
fairness,
happy to show anyone how we've developed it over the years.
and in fairness to you, Bob, we may never have asked for it. And that's not unusual. That's not unusual. You know, it's,
Well, the mayor does appoint an individual to be on our board, so there's always that appointed position.
and usually, when I go to meetings, they'll give you one of these, if you're, you know, liaison or something. And, you know, it could be filed around here somewhere. But, you know, knowing the city ordinances, I don't think that was one of them that had to be.
It's not a requirement.
Yeah.
But, we do the audit just knowing that using city, you know, money from the franchise, that we'd want to be able to justify everything we had done.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm certainly gonna read it. It won't, I love reading these things, and this one here, I said there's no findings. By a
Yeah,
very
also-
reliable accounting
Also, our
firm.
tax return is public information. Nonprofits have filed what they call a 990 as an annual tax return.
You have to do the, all that stuff like I do, their ethics report and all that?
Basically, yeah. Yeah. The 990 has a ton of questions there. It's, you know, up to 30 pages where you answer various questions about the nonprofit nature of your concern and the way funds are handled and the makeup of your board and all that sort of thing.
Bob, you probably got about 3 minutes. Anything you wanna?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I appreciate the support people gave us in
I think
their
there's a
phone
lot.
calls.
I think there's a lot more out there, and I know, you know, the city's challenge, and I hope, you know, that they keep in mind that I think it affects a lot more people than people realize out there.
Well, we know they've had to make tough decisions in their finances. There's no question about that. You know, we don't want the situation in Detroit, as you mentioned, to happen in Erie. But, you know, it's a fairly minor amount of funding that was provided and hopefully can continue to be provided versus what we do for the city. You know, furthermore, we run very efficiently. If you look at what we do with our money, you know, they've had to pare back a lot of budgets in the city, but I don't want to upset anybody's apple cart, but I think, you know, a lot of those areas didn't run as efficiently as they certainly could have, and they've been forced to do that. We'll look for ways to economize, but we've always done that. Always been very careful.
The only thing I tell the public is that, you know, to make it go, if you ever thought about having your own show, this is your,
Give us a call.
We're still open.
454-2226, or you could email us at info@catvarea.org.
I mean, I'm hoping I can take maybe this show one night, a month over there and try it, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, anytime. We'd be happy to help the city any way we can.
See what happens. I mean, it'd be interesting, but
Anybody wants to see the facilities, come on down. It's 142 West 12th Street. We're still open. We have members. We're taking new members if you want to make your own show.
it's a beautiful studio. I'll tell you that. I haven't been in it. Go ahead, caller.
I had to call back because I heard a couple of statements of the budget and all that.
Yeah.
But I will be watching like Tullio used to do when Erie had the water authority,
What's that?
robbing Peter to take care of Paul. And this, I'll be watching the $1 million that they get from the cable television to see how they're going to handle it. You know, the $1 million that they're going to control
The franchise fee.
Yeah.
from the franchise fee, like two of you used to take the money out of the water authority and transfer it over to make the city's budget. And just like the mayor, he's going to have to increase the taxes by at least 1.5 mils this year when he finds out all his shortfalls. You got it. You got it from me first. 1.5 mils.
But John, if you want to see this budget, I'll have it in my office, okay?
Okay, I'll come down with a...
It's very lean.
I can understand that from the way it is. and the whole thing. Can you put that budget on the web? Not
with-
the total one. I mean, your last year's.
If Bob gives me permission, I could probably put on my site.
That's fine with me. Sure.
Of the upcoming.
I could probably put on my site,
Okay.
And there's companies like brightstar.com that you can look at our 990, our tax filing for previous years. It gives a lot of the same information.
Well, a lot of people, like, I get one from the Game Commission every year. It takes about 5 or 6 pages. It shows how much they're spending, how much they're receiving, and it's just an auditor and a accountant's nightmare. But it's all there, figures for figures, what they bring in for the whole year, what their expenditures are, and where they at, and they always come up with a 0-0 balance for the money they received and the money they spent, which the city should do too. They're not supposed to make money. They're supposed to come out with a balanced budget, and lo and behold, some places they're making money, and some places they're not.
well, it is prudent, John, to build in a surplus for what you call contingency.
There is a surplus contingency?
Oh, yeah, on budgeting, yes. In fact, being a city, there's kind of like under GOFA rules, not GOFA, Gatsby rules.
I think
You really-
was more of a...
You really want to have enough to pay, like, I think they suggest now that you have about a month or so of cash in your funds to be able to see. Yeah, because we used to always take out, John, short-term notes in the beginning of the year, short-term note. We'd borrow money in what they call a tran note. And in credit to this mayor, we haven't done it in the last, I think it's like 6 years.
I know, but you're running a surplus too.
Well, you know what though, John?
A larger surplus, and the taxpayers are paying for this.
Yeah, but
you have all kinds of fees on all your billing. You're getting multiple and double billing fees for the same thing.
Remember this though, we have a long-term deficit, okay? And, every people, when they look at budgeting, they think that it ends on that year. If you got a deficit, you're carrying it over. We're trying to close the deficit so that long range, when we go out for a bond issue or anything else, all right, we're not a distressed community anymore it's like pension plan. You've been reading a lot about pension plans, right?
Yeah.
But they all have long-term debt. And even though you may do good 1 year and you may have exceeded your revenue during your budget, that only takes away part of your problem in the past.
That's true, but when I'm getting charged 25% for service fees for water and sewer, there's no justification in that because it all comes out of the same billing.
Well, the mayor doesn't, nobody knows here whether we're one action away from a problem, okay? You could have a major street cave-in. So they build a little flexibility into the budget. However, as we get into the last 3-4 months of the year, we're very prudent. We start cutting back on everything so that, you're hoping you do end up a little bit on the plus side.
That's why it took a bond out to buy stuff that won't last 8 years or 3 years. I thought...
Well, let's hope we don't have to do that in the future anymore.
When you take a bond out, you're supposed to have the life expectancy of 25 years on it.
You're right, John.
And who made the money besides the issuance of the bond? And you've got 5 years of street repair, a fire truck. This is not a bond-issued item.
This is what happens when, in the past, in old communities...
Happens when you have 40% of your public paying the taxes.
You're right, but these are problems that now got to be solved. It's a new world and a new regime.
Right. What we need is new faces. Have a great day.
See you, John. And Bob, with that, I think, you got anything?
No?
EJ?
Covered it pretty well, I think.
As always, I have
appreciate it, Cass. Thanks for having us.
And as always, if anybody from the opposing viewpoint wants to come on the show, be glad to, any member, if anybody wants to talk about any subject, feel free to contact me. We'll get you up on the air here. And Bob, thank you once again. I think, I will look through this and I'll make a little bit of comments next show on it.
Sounds good. If you'd like to have me explain anything in the future, let us know. We'll be here.
And I'll see if I can put that on my site here at the city.
Sounds good.
Okay.
DJ, as always, you're always welcome.
Thank you.
You do a good job when you're on here, so.
I don't say much.
And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again here next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9.